Joining me now to talk more about the Edward Snowden case is William Sewell. He's a former NSA contractor and a security consultant who has worked with officials in Hong Kong, among other places. Thanks for joining us, William. I want to ask you first, you were a former NSA government contractor. Do you consider what Snowden did espionage?
I think it's most clearly espionage. The law is pretty clear about disclosing classified information, which he did by his own admission. And I think that the charges of espionage are fact-based, and I think they should go forward.
Right now, this arrest warrant that the U.S. issued is a provisional one. It's temporary. Do you expect to see more charges coming against Snowden? Could we see much more to come, more details, perhaps?
Well, I think that depends on what information comes forward from The Guardian. At the moment, based on what I know and what I've seen, I think that the espionage charges that have been filed are the right ones, and I think it remains to be seen what else comes from The Guardian.
If and when Snowden is taken into custody, how much of the decision-making process regarding his extradition will be political versus interpreting the actual letter of the law? I know that you've had some dealings with Hong Kong authorities. What's your take on that?
Well, I think that the basis of the charges, of course, are in law, but what happens from here on, I think, can be politically charged. There are, as you know, protests going on in Hong Kong that may or may not sway the government's decision, but there's definitely a groundswell of support for Snowden in Hong Kong, and it remains to be seen whether that will taint any decisions that are forthcoming.
You know, over the last several days, we've obviously heard from various officials from the United States government. We've also heard all sorts of people weigh in. What have you been hearing from some of your fellow colleagues and the people in the industry, the defense industry in the United States?
Well, people generally in the community are a bit tight-lipped because it is involving classified information, but for the most part, the mood, I think, within the community is that this person has violated a trust. And in the intelligence community, trust is a #1 factor in how people work together. And I think that he has violated a trust, given away information that should not be made public, and the feeling is that he should be punished for it.
So do you see the industry changing as a result of this one case? Are changes already taking place to prevent something like this from happening again?
Well, there are always a lot of safeguards that are put in place. There are a lot of training regarding classified information and how to handle it. Some very strict guidelines on how that information gets handled. And so I don't know that those are changing as much as they're being re-emphasized. People are getting more training, and a lot of attention is being paid to this particular subject.
I want to ask your opinion about something. You know, there's been a lot of talk about whether Beijing will intervene in this case or simply allow Hong Kong to let this case run its due course. One of the things that could prevent Snowden from coming back to the U.S. is how he could be treated once he returns by the U.S. government. Based on the Bradley Manning case and the WikiLeaks case, do you think that poses a problem for bringing him back here?
I think it's a good excuse for a political decision. Certainly, people in the United States, but particularly in the justice system and the legal system, are treated in pretty much in humane and good ways. Well, good ways, but they are treated in ways that comply with the law, their standards, and I don't think there's any indication that there would be torture or mistreatment or any of the things that are being alleged at the moment. But it could be a basis for a political decision not to send him back.
How do you see Hong Kong authorities treating this once Snowden is in custody, though?
Well, I think that of course, at say the police level, they're going to respond to whatever comes from above. I think that Hong Kong likely will be left alone to deal with the situation unless it gets highly political and there's a diplomatic piece of it. Beijing may weigh in. I don't think we know at the moment.
All right, William Sewell, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us from Los Angeles, California.
Thank you.